No fap, no porn, no sex. Can you imagine what you could accomplish if you put aside porn, masturbation, and sex? You would have so much free time. And if you use that free time wisely, there's so much you can achieve. You could change your life from nothing to everything. And I mean that because if you have all that free time, you can start adding things to your life, which means instead of chasing women and watching porn and masturbating, you can replace all of that with lifting weights, with reading, with meditating, with increasing your spiritual gains, so to speak. You could change your body. You could change your mind. You could change your life physically, mentally, spiritually. Put aside sexualization. It's easier said than done, but possible. Porn should not exist in a man's life. Get rid of porn forever. Masturbation has its place every now and then. If you don't do it every day, it's okay. If you are not addicted to ejaculation, even without porn, there is a place for it. And no sex, obviously, unless you want to become a monk, is temporary. You could put sex aside. By putting sex aside, I mean that you are not dating, that you are not chasing women, that you are pretty much in monk mode when it comes to sexuality. You have disappeared from the dating market, not regularly ejaculating by yourself, and definitely not watching porn. So you are pretty much on a semen retention streak, so to speak. However long you stay on the streak is up to you. But generally speaking, it is recommended, especially for men above the age of 20, to not jerk off that often. I would say if you can go a week without feeling a strong need, a strong craving to ejaculate, you're good to go. It means that you have reached a certain level where you can actually go on a streak of a week or 2 weeks or even a month without ejaculating. More power to you. Most of you are not at this level, but it's okay. You can build up to this by quitting porn and not dating women. Be compassionate with yourself and go through the process step by step. Relapsing comes with the territory. As long as you don't use it as an excuse to over binge and watch porn, you are good to go, my friend. If you relapse and the next day you start, and during this day you just relapse and think of and do something else and don't watch more porn during this day, and the next day you start anew, you're good to go. It won't hinder your progress. But if you were to do this, and I'm not saying it's easy, especially for me at this point, I do not watch porn. I don't need to ejaculate often, but chasing women and sex is still something I'm working on. It's not easy, but you can mitigate it. You don't want to quit porn and start being promiscuous and having sex with a lot of women because you're just kind of replacing a problem with another one. And it's not at all a good solution. You don't compensate a porn addiction with a sex addiction. You build up to it, and the way you go about it is true to you, and nobody can tell you the way to do it. People can guide you and give you advice and accompany you on this journey, but you would know what is best for you. But I'm telling you guys, I heard that Indian men were not allowed to chase women until a certain age. Maybe not in our modern day, but in previous generation. They call this brahmacharya, where you actually chaste and celibate. And it's a practice that actually can increase your spirituality, because the goal of all this is also to become a better human being, a more spiritual human being, because I do believe that if a man can actually have somewhat of a, not control, but somewhat of a discipline when it comes to sex and porn and all of this, obviously porn you should get rid of, then you could attain spiritual levels you cannot even imagine right now. It's a journey. Sometimes changes are subtle, but worth it. If you are to go down that path of no porn, no fap, and no sex, you can start including things like meditation, reading, working out. And if you want to change your life altogether, that's a very great way to start, by doing this at your own level with patience and compassion and compassion towards yourself and forgiveness for your misgivings, trials and tribulations, failures and relapses. Be compassionate and forgiving. You could change your life over a few years from nothing to everything. I strongly encourage you to think about it. Just because society is going one way when it comes to sex and porn, and people are actually telling you that it's not a bad thing, it's not addictive, or that's the way we men should behave, we need to have sex, etc., etc. If you go in the other direction, you could benefit tremendously from that pathway. I strongly recommend you do. When you see society going in one direction, you should go the other. It applies 100%. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you very soon.